Ayo, I finally got around to Eve of the Daleks. My personal review, I spotted 3 Daleks. 3 Daleks total. And that's a major decrease since their previous few appearances. It's just not enough. On the other hand, some very nice and very loud fans on Twitter told me that 13 and Yaz might have a lesbian kiss Yas Queen embrace this year before they both die. I tried searching the wiki for this, but there's no precedent, it seems, for the Doctor to enjoy kissing human women. So this must be insider info. What does Thassi-Stan01 know that I don't? All I do know is that Yaz can do way better. There's also the question of whether the Doctor even identifies as a woman. Can you technically have a same-sex kiss if one participant is non-binary or post-gender? I genuinely don't know. Not to shit on any pride parades here. But apart from the real-world on-screen prospect of a lesbian kiss, 2 actresses kissing, the Doctor has been very vocal about concepts like gender identity and human approaches to sex, and how none of them apply to Doctor Who.
We're the most civilized civilization in the universe. We're billions of years beyond your petty human obsession with gender and its associated stereotypes.
You're lucky you're Electro Doctor Who, because that got very close to mansplaining. You would think this is an attitude that changes with the show. The Capaldi era was the most progressive yet. But did you know the first Doctor thought the exact same way? In this story, characters struggle to work out the sex of a newborn baby. The first Doctor says to cast aside these preconceptions. Whoa, look at Grandpa over here. Okay, Time Lords are gender fluid. Which is why, of course, they all learned Victorian gentleman stereotypes, complete with male pronouns,
I am he and he is me,
and vague, sometimes sexism.
Oh, Polly, why not make some coffee to keep them all happy while I think of something?
I know what you're thinking. One of the most famous William Hartnell lines of the Doctor is him saying he's a citizen of the universe, a gentleman to boot. But in other stories he's rectified this, that despite how it makes him sound, in truth, he's not even a man. Gentle or otherwise. Now that's almost definitely a line referencing the fact that the Doctor went from being a human man from the future to an ancient space alien, but I have nothing if not my queer readings. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the sentiment, but in terms of canonical self-identity, this is kind of a newish one. At least when he and him were used as recently as Day of the Doctor, Season 10, and Twice Upon a Time. Of course, these things aren't mutually exclusive, and there's full likelihood the Doctor accepts these pronouns to save time. Sex is entirely flexible among our people, while gender is merely a social construct.
But you still call yourselves Time Lords.
Thanks, Bill, for the assist there. Again, oh look, Gallifrey is one of the most gendered societies in the series. Apart from Susan, it takes the classic run about 12 years to depict a female Gallifreyan on screen, and then about 5 more until we see any impositions of power. Have you watched Deadly Assassin lately? It's a sausage fest. Until Rassilon came along, all of Gallifrey was ruled by matriarchal leaders, exclusively. What happens if they regenerate into a dude bro? It seems the Doctor is bigging up his own people, because we've never seen this on screen. If Gallifrey is so advanced and post-gender, why does President Romana still face institutional sexism? The answer is that these were stories written in different decades by different writers. But I don't get that. I can't accept that. In Doctor Who, there's species without the concept in their society, ones that have 72 genders simultaneously, and another that swap every 2 minutes. I mean, that last one sounds fucking exhausting. But hey, you do you. Live your truth. I'm hardly gonna support 58 of your genders and tell the other 22 to get back into the closet, come on. On that topic, there's a very popular Stephen Moffat quote, where he jokes that River Song has married 428 times, 1 time for each gender. So that went down well. Then, and I don't quite know what to make of this story, there's a little short trip called War Crimes, detailing the entire social culture of the Ulkra. These guys love gender conventions. As a coming-of-age ritual, young Ulkra boys would be sent into the forest to kill a beast and return wearing its pelts. If they failed this initiation, they would not be allowed to remain male. The victorious would grow into warriors, to fight and write poetry and watch Seinfeld. But those who failed would have their genitals removed. I'm just reading this from the page, from the horse's mouth, and were forced to eat isumui berries until they developed female characteristics. Estrogen and empathy and brain cells. Forced estrogen. Our protagonist in the story does transition himself, but only because he needs those berries to think good. Same. Yeah. I don't think the author of this story expected it to be so relatable. Bizarre story. It ties into the war games as well for some reason. Cool, yeah, always said that story needed to be longer. I think we have to assume that the Doctor is genuinely gender fluid or outside of gender in some remotely alien way. And the Doctor generally does not mind being attached to these labels. But 8 did. Interference Book 1. 8 firmly denies ever having been a man or a woman, and resents being described as such. 13 similarly says that she's not a man or woman in The Good Doctor, not in any sense that you would understand anyway. When an angry priest goes all not my doctor about a female incarnation, contradicting the sacred law. Sound familiar? Do notice how the only characters who do refer to the Doctor as they/them are Jack, River, and the classier Masters. They were all using those pronouns before a female actress was even cast for the role. Could be coincidental, but I reckon there's something there. Gender's for the humans. According to Ross T. Davis, there are future incarnations of the Doctor unaccounted for that were visibly? In between genders, or neither. Wow. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something for a TV program on Turf Island? Personally, I'm still hoping for the Doctor that was described with the flaming fire sword. Yeah, can that be the next one, please? Can that be 14? Fact number 2. I'm feeling censored. At this point, I couldn't travel in the TARDIS, mostly because I'm a woefully inadequate man, but also because I swear constantly. It's just part of my vernacular. I don't know when I do it anymore. And Doctor Who, at its core, is a very family show. That is, of course, until it isn't.
Better to die than live like you, a bitchy trampoline.
Are you human?
Oh, don't be a bitch.
No, you forgot one.
No. That would be rude, though.
In this one, the Doctor says the word shit. I do realise the optics of bringing up this author after an entire segment on sex and gender, but Gareth Roberts once wrote, in his book Only Human, there's an amazing throwaway line when 9 tells his companions that the TARDIS translation circuit has a swear filter installed. Parental guidance for speaking. This filter got inside everybody's head, everybody present in the story, not just inside the TARDIS, and prevented them from swearing, making it utterly incapable for the 9th Doctor to speak his mind.
Will you stay still, you idiots? I don't have any time.
The 12th Doctor carried so much internalized anger that the psychic paper would just read swear words. This is the only mention of the no swear words filter, and I have to assume that in the later seasons, Bill got into the parental settings and turned off the lock.
If I hear any more language like that from you, young lady, you're in for a jolly good smack bottom.
My mind has just jumped to Horns of Nimon.
You meddlesome hussy.
That doesn't count. In my fan theory, the Doctor installed this for Susan Foreman, kept it on during the war, during the Time War. That'd be a bit weird. And then definitely kept it on the second he started inviting sex pests on board. I choose to believe there are some characters who have the desire to swear so much that they break through the TARDIS translation circuit without even realizing. I might be okay with genocidal problem solving, but I draw the line at swearing. Not to mention, this no swear rule could have involved racial slurs, could have saved a lot of friends being spared that stuff. Perry Brown, in one of the Telos novelizations, uses the N-word, so I guess I'm now reshuffling my favourite companion tier list. She's even higher. This is just one of those little flourishes, one of those great cutaway lines that just gets my brain going. Ah! Perfect for broke canon. Fact number 3, please. Now, what do we do when it comes to continuity when there are interactive stories with branching story paths? Well, I have a mental collapse, but maybe when I play Attack of the Grask, one of the Doctor Who video games, or pick up a Choose Your Own Adventure book, these are just separate timelines, splintering off into parallel universes. How about that? Well, yeah, but all of them are just as valid as each other. None of these end the universe, apart from the Grask, where if you fuck up and freeze everybody on the planet, the Doctor chides you and says, you've just killed Christmas.
You're not good enough. Stan is the taking part that counts.
You just froze the entire planet and trapped millions of innocents. Anyway, off your pop. Many of these Choose Your Own Adventure stories don't have dead ends. They don't have losing timelines. The worst case scenario is that you just get one of the more boring endings. I dare to dip my feet in. I want to see if these things can hold up and all of these endings can coexist. This is Claws of the MACRA, and after 3 goes, rolling my little dice, keeping my score sheet, I found out that the main character in this can change events. It's not just a matter of go left, go right, commit crab genocide, don't commit crab genocide. But the kid protagonist you play as is given decisions that can just influence entire events and whether things work or not. The Doctor presents his sonic screwdriver. If you think the sonic screwdriver should work, turn to page 39. If you decide that it shouldn't, turn to page 8. If you think the man is dying, turn to page 38. If you think he's just seasick, turn to page 133. And yeah, I went to page 133, and instead of a death scene, he was just fine. He was genuinely just seasick, and I decided that for him. I'm sorry, that's sinister. I don't like the power. I don't like the insinuation of causality that gives me. All in all, there are 7 endings in this, which sounds like a lot of choice, but also consider that you're getting wildly different stories every time. There isn't one MACRA plan, there's like 5 different MACRA plans in this book, and you might just stumble upon one of them. It's not even consistent whether the MACRA in this book are mindless savages, evil smoke-sniffing crustaceans, or good guys. You just have to get lucky and see where the day takes you, as to what their morality is, and what the plot is. On my first playthrough, I'm on a school trip to an oil refinery. I slip away, go through events, and meet the Doctor and Amy. They take me to meet a nice professor, who clearly has lots of information he wants to tell me. I refuse to hear any of it. Repeatedly. Which leads to us discovering a MACRA tied up, experimenting on it for sakes of, crab studies. That was my major in university, actually. The MACRA breaks free, goes wild, I try to fight it, it knocks me out, and then suddenly, I come to, discover I'm at the ending of this story path, and the Doctors fix it all, whilst I was asleep. Cool, thanks. I didn't choose much of an adventure there at all, guys. That took me about 7 minutes. Not a satisfying story. On my second playthrough, I refused the oil refinery entirely, and went to the beach, and found a bunch of MACRA there, who weren't getting up to much of anything. So I try to approach them because I've read the first ending and I know they're actual good guys who want to form a very above-board legal pact with the Earth. I approach them and get immediately eviscerated. The decisions you pick also impact how bloodthirsty the Doctor's feeling. One of these endings just involves UNIT arriving and the Doctor saying, yeah, bomb 'em. There's no place on this Earth for MACRA, he says many times throughout the book. MACRA can't change, he states in one ending where it turns out MACRA can't change, despite the rest of the book showing that they can. There's a word for that. Ah, right, it's prejudice. It's designed so that there's no unhappy endings, apart from, for the crabs. But there are crap endings, where the Doctor just teleports a MACRA away with a sonic screwdriver and calls it a day. Or UNIT just arrive and say, yeah, no, we handled it. And all the Doctor can do is just shrug. I guess the best case scenario is the ending that hints that you can travel in the TARDIS too, but I got this ending and nothing happened, so 11-year-old me would be devastated. This won't take a second, the Doctor says, operating the controls at lightning speed. Doctor, it's working, says Amy. The MACRA can't breathe. I know, the Doctor nodded. That will be happening all over the refinery soon. All the MACRA will suffocate. There's no other choice. I've seen it before. They're the scourge of the galaxy and they never give up. The MACRA gives a final croak and lies still. That's it. That's the end of the MACRA. Anyway, want to travel with me in my time travel machine? We're only just talking about genocide. Can we go one episode without talking about Doctor Who genocide? On the same note, one of my favourite ever audio stories is You Are the Doctor by John Dorney. Seven and Ace land on a spaceship and have to stop a villain of the week, except they keep feeling compelled to make out-of-body, strange choices that they would never usually make, before getting caught by baddies, killed, and then having to start the process all over again. Is it a Groundhog time loop? No. You Are the Doctor uses the conventions of the Choose Your Own Adventure books, where the bad guy is making all the choices and piloting the Seventh Doctor and Ace. You are the Doctor, a mysterious traveller in time and space. Will you succeed in foiling the ghastly plans of the horrible Porcians?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's my job, right?
Although there's no actual branching story path, there's no alternating story here. I mean, it's an audio drama. That would be a task. Remember how I said I felt like I was influencing events? Deciding what would happen based on not the choices given to me, but what I thought would be funny to happen? That's what the pig villain in this is actually doing. As for video games, when you die, you could call that a branched off doomed timeline, but mostly I just want to say, get good. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching, thank you for donating to my Ko-fi. I'm going to say that one ahead of time presumptuously in the hope that you do. If you want to see more, flip to page 58.